Hey, did you know I'm doing a toy drive for the kids? That's right. If you want to support underprivileged children this holiday season, click the link below or in my bio, and you'll be able to access our link to our toy drive. We're going through Amazon, so all you need to do is buy toys. You can see we've already got a ton of them. The more the merrier. We are looking for gifts still for the very young kids, as well as gifts for the older kids. Thank you to all who've already bought toys and donated. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and enjoy the video. We're gonna bring up this other person named Bill who doesn't think trans men and women are men and women because of the reality or science of it all. So let's see if Bill can really handle the conversation on a scientific level. Bill, if you're listening, can you please provide me your age and pronouns?
Hi, it's going to be 26, and then I don't believe in pronouns.
Okay, you don't believe in pronouns at all.
I mean, I believe them as a grammar tool, but
okay, so then I don't know. So then I don't know what your issue would be with telling me what your pronouns are. If you believe in them as a grammar tool.
I just don't believe them in the way that you're constructing them.
What's the way I'm constructing them? I'm using them as a grammar tool, as a replacement for a noun.
Okay, I'm a man, so.
Okay, and what would your man pronouns be?
I mean, I'm speaking in the first person, so.
Great. This show is watched by hundreds of people. So what would your man pronouns be, Bill? Other people will be talking about you.
Okay, then they can refer to me as a man. So if they refer to me in the third, it would be a he, I guess.
There you go. 1.5 minutes to get to you just saying he. Crazy. Now you want to talk about trans men and women or men and women. You don't believe they're men and women. Is that correct?
I don't. I believe that they are the biological sex that they were born as.
Okay, I'm not talking about sex though. So, did you want to keep having the conversation? Because I'm not. I'm talking about gender.
I don't believe in the difference between. Yeah, I don't think that there is any distinction similar to the last caller between sex and gender.
Okay, you think sex and gender are the exact same thing?
Correct.
Okay, so when we say women, we just mean like all females would be women and all males would be men.
Correct.
Okay, you sure you want to stick with that?
Yep. So all people born female are female.
Well, no, not. So hold on. I don't know why you're adding people to this. Our sex and gender are the same. All females would be women, not just all people, because they're the same. Are you telling me there is a difference?
All human beings born with X chromosomes.
Why are you adding human beings?
Why am I adding human beings? It's a discussion over.
If sex and gender are the same, it would apply to anything that has sex, not just humans. Sex isn't specific to humans.
Okay, correct. But this is a discussion on human trans people.
Yes, I know, but you've made the claim that all females are women, that sex and gender are the same thing. That would remove all lines on human and people. Because part of the difference between sex and gender is the fact that gender belongs to humans, because it's a social category. But you're claiming there is no social category. It's all just the biological. So that would remove the human aspect.
Okay, well, I mean, we can discuss the animal kingdom as well, but I was just hoping that we would discuss human trans issue.
Well, you remove the human because you said all that sex and gender are different. So you remove the human aspect. Part of gender is acknowledging that it's the social category that humans have come up with within their own cultures and societies. You said gender isn't just the same as sex, so you've removed the human part. Now it's sex. Sex doesn't just exist in humans, it exists in all animals and it exists in plants. So So do you still believe that sex and gender are the same thing?
I don't believe that gender is any type of useful delineation between men and women. I believe that.
Well, I'm not asking about its usefulness. I'm just asking about its existence. Does gender exist?
I don't, sure, gender exists in the same way that I would call it personality. I think that people have different personalities, and I think that that is a more useful delineation between men and women than any type of gender construct. We can agree that gender is something socially referred to, but I don't believe that it has any basis in someone's biological being of a man or a woman.
Well, there you're doing that again. Man and woman would not be biological terms. They never really have been. They've been social terms to refer to social categories that we place males and females into, but they're not biological terms. Male and female would be biological terms because they refer to the biological makeup of sexual reproducing beings. So which are we talking about here? Are we talking about sex or are we talking about gender?
Why does your premise literally say trans men and women are men and women? Are you referring to trans zebras? Trans
what?
Whales?
Because men and women are social terms that exist within people, and I'm talking about people. If I was talking about male and female, I could be talking about any creature in the animal kingdom and or plants, but I'm not. I'm talking specifically about people. So I'm using gendered categories because gender refers to people.
Okay. So then at what point does someone then go from being a person born as they are to then becoming a trans person?
What do you mean by born as they are?
As biological men or women.
Again, biological men and women are not a term. Men and women are not biological terms. So what do you mean when you say biological man? What do you mean? What does that mean?
Someone born with XY chromosomes.
That's a male.
Yep.
We have a term for that. It's not biological man. The term for that would be male.
Okay. Male. So at what point then does a biological male then go from being a biological male to then being a trans male or a trans woman, whatever you want to call it?
Whenever they start engaging with their gender. And whenever their brain makes the subconscious decision of engagement of like the perception of their sex and how that sex orients with like the larger society at whole.
Okay.
Can happen as early. I mean, though we see gender dysphoria take place as early as like 7.
Mm-hmm. So that's prepubescent in the case of males.
It would be prepubescent in the case of anybody that has gender dysphoria as early as 7.
So in someone who's having gender dysphoria as early as 7, you're saying that before they've even determined their own sexuality or
sexuality doesn't have anything to do with your gender. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just finishing my point.
Mm-hmm.
Before they've had any type of pubescent biological maturation or determined any type of sexuality, any type of other defining characteristics into adulthood, you're saying that they could become trans?
I'm saying that they would have gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria and being trans are not simultaneous, are not the same thing. But even if they were trans, no, they've never been.
That's not true. They were in the DSM-4.
Nope. Gender dysphoria was not in the DSM-4.
DSM-3, then it was.
Gender dysphoria was not in the DSM-3.
Gender dysphoria used to be a DSM classified mental condition.
Gender dysphoria is in the DSM-5 and has only ever been in the DSM-5. And it's in the DSM-5 per the American Psychological Association so that they can give, the people who write the DSM-5 have said we've put it in there so that we can give a coding to gender dysphoria so that we can provide adequate medical treatment for gender dysphoria. It's not in there because we think it's some psychological condition. Gender dysphoria just refers to an immense amount of stress you feel when your gender doesn't align with your sex assigned at birth. Gender dysphoria has never meant being trans. Both trans and cisgender people can suffer from gender dysphoria. In fact, elderly cisgender women tend to suffer from gender dysphoria as they're aging. Men with micropenises suffer from gender dysphoria. It affects anybody of any type. It doesn't have anything to do with being trans. It just means your gender identity does not align with your sex.
Yeah, I understand. I'm saying that that's not a real phenomenon. I'm saying my full stance, if I could get it out, would be that anyone experiencing the belief that they are of the opposite gender is suffering from a mental condition.
Okay, what's your evidence of that?
Can I finish? And that's not to say that I don't feel for them suffering from their mental condition, but I don't believe in affirmation of that, what I would consider to be a delusion. And
Great.
then I also would not say that that has any basis in reality, similar to other DSM-5 mental conditions.
What is your evidence that it's a delusion?
The delusion? What is my evidence for that? Well, it's just not. Because there's no basis in reality.
Yes, there is.
What is your evidence that there are trans men and women?
What's my evidence that they are trans men and women? Because they're men and women whose gender identity would not align with their sex, thus making them trans.
Okay. Why does that only apply when it comes to gender?
Because gender,
not apply about age or socioeconomic condition or race.
Because none of those things are internal senses of self like gender is. All of those things are external. Race is not an external classification. Or an internal classification. Race is an external classification. So, like, I don't decide I'm black because I'm black. I decide I'm black. I don't decide I'm black because I have some internal belief I'm black. I decide I'm black because I've been placed into a legal classifier of black. Black didn't exist as a race until like early 12th century, I think, is when we started seeing black as a race be separate from white. Like, I don't know if you know that. You could look up like Gomez de Sherrar and see like how race was like founded.
Race has always been something that is externally characterized.
Correct.
I would agree with you.
Gender is not an external classification. It's an internal.
So is gender.
No, it's not. It's an internal classification.
You can immediately identify someone of being of either the same or the opposite
that doesn't
gender.
That doesn't make it an external classification. You can be wrong about your immediate observation because gender is an
100%.
internal classification. Incorrect.
Males have protruding Adam's apples that are
if I see
visible.
somebody who has gotten, let's say they're indistinguishable. They're a trans man who is indistinguishable from looking like me. And you see them and you say that's a man and they go, yes, I'm a trans man. You go, oh wait, no, you're actually a woman. This incoherent block here shows that gender is not an external classification because your external classification on them was wrong, according to you. Your external classification was wrong. No, it does. It does matter. Yes, because you can't. Your classification. No, because your classification of someone does not dictate whether that person is or is not a man or a woman. Because gender is a neurosocial concept that exists within our brains.
I agree with you. My individual determination on someone's race. I mean, there could be a mixed race person, and I could misidentify what races makes up that person's ancestry. I could perhaps misidentify someone who's really good at disguising the fact that they're a biological man. I could easily make those mistakes, but that does not change the fact that by and large, you can 100% tell someone is a man if they have male characteristics, or if someone is a woman if they have woman characteristics.
So let's break this down super simply. Let's see if your logic holds up here. What are the characteristics that you must possess in order to be a man?
A Adam's apple,
Okay, so I'm already going to write you off. I'm already going to write you off as somebody with just a crazy lack of understanding because every single female has an Adam's apple.
Okay, that's why I said protruding.
Females have protruding Adam's apples, Bill.
In what cases?
In like most of them.
If you're going to give me edge cases, that doesn't make the whole wrong just because you can provide me with a couple of edge cases.
It's not edge cases. Tons of females have protruding Adam's apples. It's less common than it is in men, but it's like still a fairly common thing.
Okay. Then penises and testicles.
Okay, so you have to have a penis and you have to have a testicle to be a man.
Yes, but there are, I already know where you're going to go with this. There are the edge cases of intersex people, but those are such a small minority that does not make the rule false. Okay.
So, Bill, here becomes an issue here. I'm asking you to tell me what is required to be a man. What is it that is required of someone to be a man? And you're saying, well, this is required, but there are going to be some cases where it's not required. So if it's not required, it's not required. So like, what is the requirement to be, I'm going to ask you very plainly, what is the necessary condition that is required of someone to possess in order to be a man? What is necessary? What do they have to have? Because if you're saying, hey, there are some men, you have to have a penis, but some men don't have penises. Those are edge cases. Trans men would be the edge case.
XY chromosomes.
Okay, so you have to have XY chromosomes to be a man.
Correct.
Okay, so people who are born with, like, let's say XY chromosomes, but they have uteruses and they can give birth, what would they be?
They would be intersex people.
Intersex is not its own category. Intersex is a list of conditions that affect males and females. So what would this person be?
Well, what are the more defining characteristics? Because you and I both know that when someone is born intersex, and I'm going to continue using that term because
I don't mind that you use the term intersex, but you're using it wrong scientifically. Scientifically, okay, well, intersex is not its own category. It is a list of conditions that are affect males and females. So when you go, there's intersex people, what you should be saying is there's people with intersex conditions.
Okay. Well, colloquially, we both know what I'm saying. And what I am going to then say, we also both know to be true, that when someone is born with an intersex condition, to use your term, they usually have, in the vast majority of cases, defining characteristics towards one sex or the other sex, which is why doctors usually make a determination and ask the parents if they would like to keep it the way it is or if they would like them to grow up as one or the other sex.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that when your necessary condition fails, you just look to another condition. So your necessary condition was never necessary to begin with. So what one is necessary?
Someone is born with 15 fingers as a part of a genetic mutation or a chromosomal condition. That does not then mean that we write down in our scientific literature that all men have 15 fingers.
Can you show me? Can you show me anywhere in science where we say that it's a necessary condition of human just to have 10 fingers? Because we don't. We don't claim that 10 fingers is necessary to be a human. So yes, when someone has more than 10 fingers, we go that they can still be human because we never said it was necessary to have 10 to begin with. Okay, you're telling me it is necessary to have, I'm asking you, what is the necessary condition to be a man? And you said it is having a penis, or I'm sorry, you said it is having XY chromosomes, but there are going to be men who don't have XY chromosomes. There are going to be some women who do have XY chromosomes. So so clearly that's not the necessary condition. So what is the actual thing that is necessary for you to possess to be classified as a man?
Yes, XY chromosomes. And then what I was saying is that there are cases of people born with chromosomal conditions, but that does not then mean that we throw out the overall classification.
Yes, it does. Necessary conditions can have zero exceptions. That's why they're called necessary. I didn't say typical conditions. I didn't say sufficient conditions. I said necessary. The word necessary means zero exceptions.
Single thing.
There are zero exceptions to a necessary.
Let me just get your opinion then. So you're basically saying that there is no way that we can classify or rank or put into a list or sort any human being on planet Earth because...
Nope, that would be a straw man. Nope, never claimed that. I never claimed there wasn't a necessary condition. I'm asking for what your necessary condition is.
If you don't want me to straw man you, then I'm going to ask you, how would you classify males?
As soon as we are finished boiling down your logic, you can then boil down my logic. But we haven't finished with yours yet. So why are we going to move to mine?
I'm sticking with my premise. I think XY.
Okay, so your premise is logically flawed. There are men who do not have XX chromosomes, or do not have XY chromosomes. There are women with XY chromosomes. You've claimed it is necessary, and now you're claiming, oh, well, there are going to be some people that it's not necessary for them to have, meaning that you have told me that your logic is fundamentally flawed. Now, if you admit, hey, my logic is fundamentally flawed, then we can get onto if you want to push my position, we can easily push my position.
Let me ask you a follow-up question then. If there are men who don't have XY chromosomes but then are still called men in your view, then what is making those non-XY chromosome having men men?
Great. What I think the necessary condition to be a man is to have a gender identity that aligns with your social schema on the male sex. And as long as you have that, you're a man.
The gender identity? What is gender identity then?
Gender identity would be your subjective perception of your sex and the way your sex is oriented in your body.
Okay, so what is the gender identity of a man?
I didn't say that somebody had a gender identity of a man. It's not what I said.
You just did.
Nope.
You just said,
I said to be a man. Nope. Bill, what I need you to do is get off the script. You have a script right now that you're waiting and you're hoping that I say stuff that align with your script, and you're not listening to the actual words that are coming out of my mouth. Because if you listened to the actual words coming out of my mouth, you would have heard that my necessary condition is to have a gender identity that aligns with your personal schema on the male sex. Not to have a gender identity of man, not to have a gender identity of woman. That's not what I said.
Yeah. So every single person could have a different idea of what it is that makes their gender identity male-oriented?
Nope. Your gender identity is your brain's subjective perception of your sex and the way that's oriented in your body. It's not a conscious thing. It's a subconscious thing. You don't have any control over it.
Right, but if there is no definition of what it is to be a man or have a male gender identity, if there is no classification to what that actually is.
There is a definition of what it is to be a man. It's the one I just told you. Having a gender identity that aligns with your social schema on the male sex. It's not a circular. I don't use the phrase man in my definition of man. It can't be circular.
Okay. You're not telling me what a male gender identity is.
Because I didn't say that you needed to have a male gender identity, Bill. You're not listening to the words that come out of my mouth. I'm not saying you have to have a male gender identity. I'm saying your gender identity, which would be the way your body subjectively looks at your sex and the way that sex is oriented in your body. Your brain goes, okay, I'm looking at my sex. My sex is male. And this sex, your brain does this subconsciously, by the way, goes, okay, this sex feels in alignment with the way my brain has categorized males. So my brain has subconsciously categorized males. That's what a schema is. It's your own subconscious categorization. Right there, what?
So right there, what is the brain categorizing as the schema for male?
That would be different for every single person because every person's schema is slightly different.
Okay. So then that's my question then. So every single person is categorizing a slightly different definition of what it is to be male?
No, they're not categorizing a definition. I don't know what, Bill, I don't know why you're having a trouble understanding these words. So definitions are just talking about concepts. Here, I'll make it easy for you. I'll give you an example. Can you define what a friend is for me?
A friend is usually a close person to you who you've had shared experiences with over a perhaps long period of time. Okay, now how do I, let's say we take me, Jovan, how do I determine when somebody becomes my friend? How long is the long period of time? Who determines the length of that? How many close experiences do we have to have? How close do we have to be? Who determines all of this? Traditionally, it would be the person who is engaging in the friendship. Okay. So you're telling me that we have millions of different definitions for friend because everybody decides individually how friends are and how a friend becomes a friend to them? Yeah, sure. Okay. So it's the same with gender, Bill. It's literally the same thing. If you can get on board with this concept for things like friend, you can get on board with this concept for things like man and woman. It's the same thing. You decide because certain things are subjective to the individual. Like your schema around what males and females are going to be different for every single person. Your gender identity is going to be different for every single person. Right, but then you're forgetting, like we discussed earlier, that this is something that is defined by your own body's chemistry, your own body's hormones, your own body's sex. It's not defined by hormones. That you were born with. It 100% is defined by hormones. No, it isn't. XY chromosome bodies produce different hormones than XX chromosome bodies produce, thus leading to different brain chemistry. It's not defined by your hormones. No. You are. No, you're 100%. Not. You are. Then why do women need to take estrogen or maybe I'm getting it backwards, but why do trans people need to take hormone therapy? Trans people
take hormones because they would like the phenotypic expression of their body to align with their gender identity. They would like the phenotypic expression of their sex because we live in a society in which sex has been conflated with gender. So we have typical expressions of men and women that are viewed by specific sexual attributes, like having breasts. And one of the things HRT can do is increase your breast tissue.
But you just told me that we don't need any of that because it's all defined subjectively.
Yes, they're not taking HRT so that they can be a woman. They're taking, for instance, like a trans woman is not taking HRT to become a woman. They're taking HRT so that their body, their outward expression of their body, can look more like what is typical of women in that given society. That's it.
You just told me that each person can subjectively define what their own gender.
Correct. That's why some trans people never go on HRT because they don't feel the need for it.
I'm not saying that hormones are the end all be all. I'm just saying that why would they try to outwardly change their appearance?
Because they would like their body to match what is typical in that society of that gender category. It's just about aligning with what looks. It's the same reason why a lot of men wear beards, because beards have become fairly common in our society around men. So men like to grow beards because it makes them feel more like men.
Okay, then what about top surgery?
Same answer.
Why would you ever undergo top surgery, or why would you ever?
Same answer I just gave you for HRT. It's the exact same answer.
Okay, but it's the same. It's not as simple as
why do cisgender women get breast implants? Because you're not saying anything. You're genuinely not understanding the words that I'm saying, and you're making these weird straw man arguments around non-issues.
I'm not putting words into your mouth at all. I'm making my own argument. It's not a straw man in the slightest. I'm saying, why would someone undergo top surgery or penile surgery or vagina surgery if they're not trying to change these? Sure. Okay.
Because they would like the phenotypic representation of their sex to align with what is typical in that society. I don't know how many times I can answer this question.
But it's the same across all societies worldwide and for all of human history. These are the defining characteristics of those genders.
Do I have to answer this again?
The reason is that they're undergoing this to affirm their own delusions that are all mental.
You've not been able to prove it's a delusion. So, I mean, you can keep saying that, but without you being able to substantiate it, I don't know what we're doing here. So, I mean, it's not proving they're delusional is not proving a negative. That would be you proving a positive.
How do you prove a schizophrenic person is truly experiencing delusions when it actually feels very real?
Let's do it so simply. Let's do it so simply. What is the medical body in the United States that determines whether something is a mental illness or whether something counts as delusional? What's the medical body that does this?
The American Psychiatric Association.
It's the psychological one, actually. But yes, has the American Psychological Association ever, or currently, under all current aspects of the American Psychological Association, do they equate being trans with mental illnesses?
They used to.
I'm not asking about what they used to. They also used to think being gay was a mental illness. Do you believe being gay is a mental illness?
No.
Okay, great. So we understand that just because they used to believe something doesn't mean that they haven't gotten counter evidence to now believe differently, right?
I don't believe that they've gotten sufficient counter evidence.
Based on what? What evidence do you have to prove they don't have counter evidence?
Based on information that, like,
what information? What information? You've now made a claim that they do not have sufficient counter evidence. So what is your proof that they don't have sufficient counter evidence?
Well, there's the NHS study out of the UK showing that even post-op trans people don't have really higher rates of satisfaction, feeling.
That is incorrect.
Affirmed.
That is an incorrect reading of the study. I guarantee you, if you provide the study name, I guarantee you I know exactly what study you're mentioning, and I promise you that you are misreading the study. If you'd like me to show you, give me the name of the study, and I will show you how in the study it is going to tell you that you are wrong.
I do apologize because I don't have the actual name of the study pulled up, but I do remember about a month ago reading that study that came out in the UK, which is actually partially why they led to just banning puberty blockers.
They didn't ban puberty blockers. They're just doing it on a research model now.
Okay.
It's just on a research
Whatever.
model. It's not
Either
banned.
way.
Either way, what?
Either
It
way,
isn't
okay.
banned. It's done on a research model now. It isn't banned. You can still get it.
I will admit that I don't understand what doing something on a research model even means.
It means that before, when you were given puberty blockers, you just sort of could fade back into the system. They didn't really know how it affected you. Now they're just monitoring the people that they do give puberty blockers to because they're currently researching it. And all of the changes came from the CAS came out of the CAS report, and the authors of the CAS report have already said that the response to their reports are not what the reports actually say, which is, hey, we need to ban this. No, they said this is not what we're talking about in the reports. We're just saying make sure that you put every child that takes this into a clinical case study so we can fucking measure this shit. Bill, I need you to do a little better. Feel free to call back when you have some more information, because this is
I have some more
sort
studies.
of sad. Okay, provide if you have the name of the study. Great, I would love to see the name of the study if you have something with an actual title.
Well, how do you grapple with trans suicide rates pre and post-op, because there has
post-op they lower.
What?
Post-op they lower. There's like a 70% decline.
I do not believe it's a 70% decline.
Provide me a study then that shows me that there is not a decline.
Overall, trans suicide rates are sitting around 35 to 40%, and
they lower post-transition.
Hold on.
You want me to give you some names of studies to prove to you that they lower post-transition?
Well, it doesn't matter though, because the overall trans community faces a suicide rate of around 35 to 40%.
Yes, and every study that's done a causality on that, what have they said is the reason?
So they say is because society does not affirm them.
Okay, do you have no, it's societal and familial stigmatization. So do you have any counter studies that show a different causality?
So, well, yes, it's not a counter study, but I could give you some other things to grapple with.
Give me something that shows the cause. I don't want to grapple with Bill. I don't want you to give me something to grapple with. No, we have direct studies to show the causality. Okay. You're saying it's a different causality, so I expect some piece of academic information to show the actual causality of the suicide.
Okay, just let me throw you this. There has never been a suicide rate recorded higher except for Jews in the Holocaust.
Holy shit, doesn't matter. I want a piece of academic information. No, I want a piece of academic information that actually confirms. Bill, no, Bill, because what you're doing. No, Bill, because I don't care about speculation. I don't care that you believe. I don't do feelings. You are doing feelings, Bill. I don't deal in feelings. When I'm having conversations about the rates of things, when I'm having conversations about the actual effects of stuff, I don't do feelings. So unless you have a piece of academic research that verifies a causality as something different from what the litany of studies on the causality tell us, which is societal and familial stigmatization, I don't want to hear it. Do you have a piece of academic research, or are you just pulling something out of your ass?
I'm not pulling anything out of my ass. Just listen for a second and let me finish a point. I'm saying, do you think that the rates of trans stigmatization have gone up or down in the last 45 years?
Up.
You think that they've gone up?
Absolutely.
In the last 45 years?
Correct.
Absolutely. Caitlyn Jenner won ESPN's Woman of the Year in 2015.
Does not matter.
And you think that trans rates have gone up?
Yes, I think the rate of societal acceptance for trans people has declined. I think the amount of stigmatization that they receive has increased. One of the examples of this will be the fact that about 10 years ago, nobody cared what bathroom trans people used. Now, all they give a fuck, that's half of what's in the conversation. There are bills being written about it that weren't written about 10 years ago. Yes, there are 500 plus anti-LGBTQ bills that have been introduced to House or Senate in different states alone this year. Yes. Now, you have again given me no academic information, things to back up what you're saying. So do you have an answer to me that is not just, I feel this way? Does that exist for you?
According to Gallup research, there has never been higher rates of open trans individuals in public. I think the the study cited that 1/13 of Gen Z identifies as transgender. So in a society that has had trans stigmatization
I
go
would
up
love
in the
to
last
know.
25 years, why did
I
so
would
many
love to know,
people
Bill, really quickly. I'd love to know why when I asked for academic information, you gave me Gallup, which is a management company. They're not. Gallup is not academia. Yes, Gallup is a management country. Yes, surveys are done by a literal management company. They are not academic research. I would love a piece of academia.
So you don't think that that the rates of trans identifying individuals has gone
I think
up
the rates of trans people have absolutely gone up. I think they've been going up despite further and further pushes from society to crack down on them. Yes. Can you provide me a piece of academia? Yes or no, Bill?
I just did.
Gallup is not academia. Gallup is not academia. Gallup is not academia. Sir, just doing a survey does not make you a part of academia. Gallup surveys are not peer reviewed. Gallup surveys are not peer reviewed. Gallup doesn't have to tell you the methodology in which they get their survey data. They don't, like, what are you talking about?
Tell you their methodology.
They don't have to because they're not okay, I'll see you, Bill. It was fun, but maybe next time you can have some actual information. Gallup is not academia. I don't know how the fuck. Shout out to Gray. Sorry it took so long, but I really needed to get to why he was stupid about that shit. Gallup is not academia, homie. Never has been. Hey, thank you all for watching this video. If you don't know me, I'm Jovan Bradley. I'm a leftist content creator who does debates, political commentary, gaming, and more. If this is your first video, thanks for sticking to the end, and I hope you subscribe. I post videos daily, and there are hundreds of past debates on my page for you to enjoy. Thank you to all my YouTube members. Your continued support helps me create as much as I can. Consider joining. A membership starts at $2.99 and gets you access to our community Discord, early access to videos, and more. Shout out to my Tier 4 members, Red Fairy DF, Ellie McReady, Not 3.6R, Sylvia Snow, Paul D, Zurith Moonpaw, Kazim, Never Again, Bamji, Emery Imogene, Ayla Ursus, Call Me Vel, Kelsey K, Jake Gorshander, Matthew Holloway, Vampy, Yemye, Mealy, and Dragon Nerd. Your continued support goes a long way in helping me continue the fight for equity, justice, and education. Thank you again for watching.